Alright guys, we're going to talk about cable pullover variation, a much more, should we say, suitable and joint friendly variation to the traditional dumbbell pullover as well. So first thing we're going to talk about is actually what you use to actually execute the pullover. Now you can see we've got the kind of traditional rope, and this is not bad. This one, it's not bad, it's not a bad length. The problem is the shorter the rope is, the more it's going to kind of force you in towards internal rotation, and the more it's going to take you away from where you would ideally want to position your arms in terms of being in line with the shoulder to really get the lats, that upper arm lined up and keeping into the close to the spine. If we get, shall I go a second, Charlie? If we had Charlie holding this, for example, that's too short, it can end up just as he pulls back, it can pull him in a little bit more than we would like. So the longer the rope you've got, the better. Now, you can either take a rope like this and you can pull it through to the end, or like Charlie set up here, you can use a couple of daisy chains or one longer daisy chain and you can create a longer rope, so to speak. This allows him to really open this out and line it up in terms of his wrist, his elbow and his shoulder with the line we want to get out of this. In terms of setup points here, he's going to line up his torso angle in line with the line of the cable here. His arms are going to kind of start up, and you'll notice that he's kind of starting at a position where he's not like exceeding past this point, elevating here. We've just got him in a solid position with the scaps locked in place. This kind of locked into position as well. We have a little bit of extension potential, just a tiny bit of T-spine extension, but not excessive, because again, we don't want to start coming away from that kind of favorable position for the lats here as well. So once the torso is kind of locked in place, his hips are kind of locked into that small degree of hip flexion. He's locked that in place as well. We're now going to just really focus on driving that upper arm down and really thinking about then bringing the elbows in towards the base of the spine. So again, this is really focused shoulder extension, really working that shoulder extensor roll of the lats. And the goal is going to be to contract right out of this lengthened position and really contract through right nicely into that shortened position. Now, big mistake you'll often see people make is they'll use excessive elbow flexion. So let's start with that one, Charlie. There we go. And they almost treat it a bit too much like a row. And that's, again, nothing wrong with a row, but that's not really what we're after here. The second thing as well is that we'll often see people kind of stand up. Now, this can actually be something that we use to our advantage, but often it's done unintentionally and it's not really what we're after. For the grand majority of individuals, we're going to want to keep a set position throughout the movement. And one thing we're going to achieve out of this, which is really useful, is as he comes from this position here, we're in quite a favorable position. It's going to get hardest around this midpoint here, where the line of this cable is about 90 degrees to the shoulder, and then it's going to drop off a little bit as we get weaker into that shortened range. So a fantastic profile as far as a pullover goes. Last thing you might want to consider, especially as we start to fatigue, as we kind of talked about it as a mistake there, but actually we can start off with the elbow fully locked out, and as he gets closer to that shortened range, we can soften that elbow just a little bit, but that's on our terms and it's under control rather than just doing it right from the get-go with way too much momentum. So just a couple more good reps, Charlie. So again, focus on locked torso position, hips fixed, drag that upper arm down, and we almost have to think about cueing the elbow down towards the floor first and continuing to think about elbow down as we get back into that end range extension.